Okay, just before the video starts, I have two quick things to say, guys. So first thing, this is all my opinion, right? This is just what I think, from my perspective, with what I've experienced in game. And second of all, this video doesn't really have many visuals. It's just mostly like listening content. I'm just going to be scrolling through the classes page on the official website. There's not much to look at. You can just let this video play in the background while you're in game or jerking off or whatever you're doing. Enjoy. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Defy here. It's been a while since I made a video. I haven't had much time to film or like time to myself. I like to sit down and know that I'm not going to be interrupted before I make a video, and unfortunately I don't have much time to myself in my current living situation. But that's fine. I'll try and make videos when I can. Sorry for leaving you guys for so long. Why am I making you dizzy? Why am I on this page? I'm sure you saw by the title. I just want to talk a little bit about what I thought about the current classes, like a little bit. Keep in mind, it's coming from the perspective of a 1v1 rogue, being me, right? I play rogue mostly, and I mostly do 1v1. I do some like team PvP. I try and like do colo, like random colo, solo colo, whatever you want to call it. I do try to do that, but I'd say my main expertise, if you can even call it that, would be in 1v1. I'll try and give a little bit of both perspectives, though. We're just going to start from the bottom. I'm going to talk about like some of the things I like about them, perhaps, or what I don't like. Some things relating to the new update, how I feel like they're mostly played. Anyways, I'll just start. Enough rambling. So I'm just going to start from the bottom up. So we start here with, let's start with the Ouginaks. Ouginak. I say Ouginak, I think. So Ouginaks, team PvP. What are their roles? They're damage dealers, tankers, and debuffers. In terms of debuff, keep enemies nearby. Okay, sure, that's the description. But debuffing, otherwise they don't really. I don't believe they really do debuff that much. I know they can do like gravity and that sort of thing. In team PvP, I think Ouginaks are a fairly balanced class because their damage isn't insanely explosive, but it's high enough that they're not like useless. They do their job very well of damage dealing, tanking, and they're pretty good at eroding. In 1v1, unfortunately, they're pretty much only played full chance. At least that's been my experience. And with Ebony, people just spam poison, right? So Ebony is an extra line of poison. You got Vertebra here, which is their main spell. It has insane range. I think it has 1 to 6, and it's modifiable, right? So it goes up to 12 with a 6 range set. And the big issue with this is it lasts so fucking long. It lasts, I think, 3 turns. I don't know if it says here, but it lasts 3 turns. So each one does 600 damage. So for 5 AP, they just did 600 times 3, I guess, which is almost 2,000 damage for just 5 AP, right? And they can stack it as well. Stack it twice. And 12 range. Like, that shit's crazy. It hits really far. But otherwise, apart from pretty much just how long that lasts, maybe if you cut down by 1 turn, I think that would be good. Otherwise, I quite like Ouginaks. I think they're fairly balanced. Nothing crazy about them. Huppermages. Huppermages are interesting. I know a lot of Huppermages currently in like team PvP will play pushback damage, which I know is just bullshit because it doesn't like pushback unless you're stacking pushback resistance. Like it goes through Fecas shields. It goes through everything, right? Like resistances, and it can take down a guy like 5k HP because with their spell. Where is that spell? I'm not sure where it is. Runic Repulsion. One of these spells. The one that pushes everyone away from you based on how many runes are on the map. Those do like insane damage, and you can like respawn the runes and then do it again. Like you see guys getting one-shotted like turn 2, and I feel like that just by having some sort of like overpowered really single way to play Huppermage, it kind of puts them all on a script, right? So they all end up doing the same thing because it's the most effective, right? Okay, turn 1, just use your Tectonic Breach or wherever it is. I don't know the icons that well. That's the issue. They're like 2 AP spell. Just put a bunch of Tectonic Breach. There it is. You just put a bunch of the runes everywhere. Turn 2, maybe do the same thing. Turn 3, boom, go in, push back, dead. So I think maybe that could be nerfed. Otherwise, I quite like Huppermages because it's one of those skilled classes. I don't know if it shows the difficulty level here. You know, the stars. Although the stars system is bullshit. It has Srams at 2. Oh, let's not even get into Srams. I'll talk about them in a second. But Huppermages, they're not so unskilled. You do have to look, and there's like certain positioning, and there's a whole system of like elemental combinations and that whole thing. It's pretty interesting. You can heal as well your allies and all. It's a fairly balanced class. I quite like Huppermages as well. Eliotropes, 1v1, I think they can be kind of difficult to deal with because, and remember, this is from a rogue perspective, because they just hit so damn hard. Like and the thing is, all their spells don't just hit, they all do something that's like crazily annoying, right? So typically they'll play strength, whereas persiflage, there it is, and they'll give you -6 range, right? They'll do persiflage 2 times. Each one will hit around 700, even with good resistances, probably maybe 500 times 2. And then with they can hit across the map, and they jumping from one side of the map to the other. They're not very easy to deal with. In team PvP, I think they're quite good as positioners, which you can see here it's their role. You can easily co-op someone, bring them to your team, maybe use the spell that puts a portal under them, contraction I think it's called, and just easily bring them over. You have good damage. But I don't know, in 1v1 I think my main issue with them is, I either lower the damage or lower the I don't know what to call them, the effects they put on you. Like here, minus range over here, you see, or if they use ridicule, minus MP. Or this parasite poison, this is crazy too. Shit hits it's like they just did the spell twice. It hits hard. Totem, everything's cool though. Again, the classes like this, like Eliotropes, Xelor, Huppermage, that sort of thing, Rogue, they're classes that are not easy to play. So in the end, I kind of have respect for the players, and even though the class has some slight, let's say bullshit aspects, they're still cool classes to play. Foggernauts. I was actually Foggernauts for a while. I think in team PvP you either have 2 options. You go full intel and you just spam Batiscaf or Batiscaf. Where is it at? Batiscaf, and you just heal and shield and AP your allies, or you can go the other way and go full damage. But I think that's enough of a difference to allow them to be a well competent class. You can do several things. I don't want to linger on Foggernauts for too long, because again, I think it's one of those balanced classes. You can do a fair amount. I think maybe maybe make it easier to do damage while also helping your allies. I think because I feel like it's too much of a choice of doing one or the other. Either you play full intel and you heal, or you play full critical damage and you just ambush and maybe necrotic bow or something, because that's a popular option. So maybe make it possibly some sort of difference in the spells, which will allow it to do both at the same time. Not sure how Ankama would figure that out. Maybe some new system with the evolutions of the turrets. I'm not sure really, but I think Foggernauts are also pretty good. So far, all the classes have been pretty balanced, I think. The more interesting ones get up there, which... Oh, I'm coming for you, Srams. I'm coming. I'm going to leave Sram till last, because I kind of have a rant about that. But Masqueraiders. Masqueraiders, again, fairly balanced, although I think in 1v1, the poor guys, because... sure, they have a good tanking ability and damaging ability, but similar to Eniripsas, I think their limited capability of movement, even though Masqueraiders have this over Eniripsas, they can kind of move a little bit better, but their limited capabilities of personal displacement, how they can move themselves, even though they can go Coward's Mask and give themselves AP, MP, and that sort of thing, I think it makes it very easy for classes that can hide line of sight or play long range to just keep them at bay and hit them from far. Even though they can probably tank all that damage, they can't really put out some of their own. So eventually they're going to lose, because I also know that one of the issues you have if you're playing if you're playing Masqueraiders, that in each mask like state, if you're playing an element, you only have one attack that you can do. Like let's say you're Psychopath Mask, right, and you're playing Intel, and you can only do like Inferno, for example. And then that's the only Intel spell you have, apart from the ones that everyone would have, which are like Leak Pie, Lightning Strike, and I guess whatever weapon you're using, right? So that's it for Masqueraders. I would just give them possibly more mobility, and maybe switch some of the spells around so that you can do more than one spell in the mask, or make it so that you can switch more between more masks per turn, or like when you switch, it also gives you the AP back, like it's a 0 AP cost instead of 1. Like something to make it easier to switch between and use your different spells, because it's kind of brutal for Masqueraders right now. Ah, Rogue, my favorite. Love this class. So Rogues in 1v1 have it fairly well because they can do quite a lot. Like in terms of, if you look at the things that classes, the different categories that classes are able to or not able to do, I think Rogues have it pretty well. Because, for example, we can erode, we can do AP reduction, MP reduction. We can't do range reduction, but that doesn't matter. We can boost our own range, which is interesting. We can, so about that, we can boost AP, we can boost MP. There's so many things that we can boost. And we have really high damage. We have great personal displacement, like if we use Ruse over here. But we also have great displacement of like the enemies. We can also use like Imposture. We can use Boombot to bring the enemies over. And we have insane damaging capabilities, which allow us to, not even need erosion at some points, because we can just spam damage like that. We often have, I say we because I'm a rogue, remember? So we often have high AP thanks to Fuse. Like at the end of your turn, just place a bomb, and the next turn, like if you have AP left over, and the next turn you can just Fuse and you get AP back. Dirty trick. So yeah, I think in terms of 1v1, we're quite fortunate of a class. We can protect our bombs very well, especially with Ruse and Remission, which has now been lowered. Like the how often you can use it has been reduced to 2 turns. It used to be 3 turns, which was a little bit difficult. Walking Bomb allows us to put 2 bombs in 1 turn, which is very useful. But I think it's necessary nowadays because if you think about how much classes can damage, like with the new shields and with all these new Dofuses coming out, like if you consider how much the classes can damage, I think Walking Bomb is an important mechanism which allows rogues to place 2 bombs per turn, and without it, like we couldn't survive. But that's for 1v1. Hold on 1 second, please. Sorry, I had forgotten the TV on, and I just wanted to turn that off, so in case the background noise. I hope it wasn't too loud in the first part of the video. I can't refilm that again, because I don't really want to repeat everything I said. So anyways, I was talking about Rogue in Team PvP contacts. The issue with Rogue in Team PvP contacts is, unless you have someone on your team who can swap an adversary, like co-op them, such as a Sacrier, maybe a Xelor, or a good Eliotrope, then you're pretty useless because you can't really throw your bombs towards the enemies because there's 3 of them, and between the 3 of them, they'll kill it before your next turn 100%. And if you keep them too far on your side, then, well, you're going to have difficulty bringing the enemies to them, right? Because well, you don't have a co-op on your team, and it's kind of hard, even though you can move a little bit with Boombot. Like, it's very difficult to play Rogue and Colo, because even then, like, let's say I bring an enemy over, there's a big chance that unless I kaboom every single one of my teammates, which is kind of difficult to always get those zones, like, you can probably just put one of my allies in the bomb again, like, and then the whole purpose of my bombs being used for me, that kind of goes away. I'm not sure. Oops, sorry about the brightness. Sorry about that. Yeah. So, not sure how I would solve that issue. Maybe make it so that rogues bomb. I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to say this, but like I kind of wish that rogue bombs didn't hit allies. Like maybe it can hit the rogue, but just not his allies, because like maybe keep Kaboom for himself, that sort of thing. And maybe you still need to use Kaboom to boost, but you shouldn't need Kaboom to avoid your bomb lines, because it's quite frustrating. Like you bring an enemy, and then that enemy puts one of your teammates in the bombs, and then you're like, oh well, why did I even bring him in? I don't want to linger on Rogue too long. I have a lot of opinions about it since it's my class, right? That's what I always play. But you know, I think we should move on. That's enough for Rogue. So now we're on to Pandawas. Pandawas I quite like. Pandawas, not sure. Let's just call them pandas actually. So pandas I quite like because I think they're fairly balanced. They have a good capability of damage. They have a good capability of helping your allies survive, and they have a good capability of helping themselves survive with like fermentation, constantly getting themselves shields, and now with blowout, you know, making all their spells available to them instead of that whole system, which is like similar to the Masqueraiders. You know, maybe Masqueraiders should have something like that. I don't know. Maybe I can draw inspiration, but Pandawas like have pandas. Sorry, they have their like Boozer and blowout. Boozer gives reduction on the damage, but then like half of their spells are blocked, while blowout gives them lock, but all their spells are available. They also can stop heals on the opposite side, or they can increase damage on a particular ally. They can do gravity, they can block, there's all sorts of things they can do. They can cover great distances with like waterfall, carrying and waterfall. They can heal their allies. I think it's a well-balanced class. I quite like Pandawas. Any complaints that I have about it? I think maybe some certain synergies are kind of bullshit with like the whole deactivating line of sight thing, because I know in Colo, like, oh, okay, like your Cras fucking you full boost turn 1, turn 2, and then your panda like carries you and no line of sight, you no scope like some unsuspecting guy on the other team, right? That's kind of lame. Kind of lame and repetitive. You just carry them, deactivate their line of sight. Not sure how Ankama would remove that, because I think the deactivating line of sight component is quite interesting to like their Karcham Chamrak spells. But I don't know, perhaps it deactivates the line of sight, but it like reduces the range on their spells or something like that, like cuts it in half. That, you know, then at least the characters have to be close to the other characters. Maybe that would help, you know, counter that sort of like simplistic combo. But that's enough for pandas. I think they're quite nice. I think they're fairly balanced. Maybe just fix that stupid synergy, that's all. Where are we looking? Xelors. Xelors, again, it's one of those skill classes. I quite like Xelors. I think AP reduction Xelors are fucking cancer and very frustrating to play against, because, you know, in the end, we're all here to enjoy it. Like I say, I sign up for Colo. It's like, oh, I want to try all my spells. I want to try my class, see what I can do. You know, I'm not really going to be trying my class if I'm playing with 2 AP every turn. I'm not really practicing my skills or my abilities if I'm starting my turn and you know, maybe I'm lucky I have 1 AP thanks to like Abyssal Dofus or something like that. That's not very helpful. Obviously, you can say, oh, just stack AP reduction. But first of all, there's no guarantee that Xelor is going to play AP reduction. So imagine you stack like 150 and now you just wasted like your pet and 2 trophy slots on AP res, and then the Xelor doesn't even turn out to be AP reduction, right? You'll feel pretty bummed out. I do understand it's a component of the game, like the whole AP MP reduction system. Maybe just lessen their ability to do it. I don't know. I kind of dislike AP reduction. I think it's just one of those cancerous aspects of the game. Like MP reduction, like at least you can play, right? Like if you want to ask me, would I rather have all my AP and no MP, or all my MP and no AP? Like, what the fuck am I going to do with all my MP and no AP, right? I'm not a tofu. I'm not just going to run around. I'd rather have all my AP and no MP. So, you know, the AP reduction aspect of the game is quite frustrating to play against. I guess you could say just, I don't know, build your sets to have more AP res. Don't neglect wisdom in your mages, maybe. I don't know, not sure what to say, but it's one of those skill classes. I think they have good damage, they have debuff capabilities, placement capabilities. Let's check their rules. What is it? Positioner? Yeah, that's about right. Debuffer? Yeah, removes action points. Yeah, fuck you for that. And damage dealer? Yeah, that's about right. Maybe just this, I kind of don't like the debuffer aspect, but whatever. Okay, that's enough for Xelors. I'm coming back for you, Srams. Just give me a second. How many we got left? This is going to be a little bit of a long video, but hopefully I'm not boring you guys and you stick through with me, because I think it's important to talk about like what we think about the classes, and I'm always interested to hear what you guys think in the comments, or if I miss certain bullshit things about classes, like overpowered things, because I haven't played them that much. I just sometimes like Colo and I like watch people and I hear what people think. So it's kind of like a combined opinion of all the experiences I've had. But I'm still human. I might have missed something. So if I did, then just let me know. Let's see about Enutrofs. I know Enutrofs. Okay, first thing I think about when I see Enutrofs is those videos on YouTube where you just co-op a person turn 2 with wandering class cape or something. It makes it not necessary to be in a straight line, I think. And then you can just co-op any adversary turn 1 even, I think, or no, I think it must be turn 2. So yeah, turn 2, and then you have so many boosting capabilities. Like you can give your allies damage percentage. You can give them so much AP. Pull out. In terms of balance, it's not the worst class. In 1v1, I think it's fairly balanced. I quite like it in 1v1. I think it's an interesting class. You have a lot of self-survival, you have movement, you have some sort of like incapacitating capabilities like AP, MP reduction, right, that sort of thing. And you have summons and you have heals. It's quite interesting. I don't think it's too cancerous, even though you have some like MP and AP reduction. I think they're not like extreme. There's just like a fair amount of them. You have your shovels that can push and that sort of thing, but I think it's all balanced. Enutrofs are very balanced, I think, and that's all I can really say for 1 versus 1. Bribery is kind of annoying, but whatever, that's just a one-turn kind of thing, and you just got to deal with it, right? In team PvP, just that co-op is annoying. Maybe their capability to boost is a little excessive, because if you look at just how much they can boost, right? Like between greed, okay, or let's say you don't play greed, right? Let's say this is better if you want to boost for damage. So you give your ally, you give them 3 AP, you give them 15% damage, you give them, no, this goes up a lot more. Yeah, you give them 300 power, and I don't know, and then you give them like fucking hella MP, and they just run around killing everything. Like that's just too much boost, I think, for one character to have. Although one of its roles is a booster, I think it's just a little bit excessive. That's what I'm saying, because if you can boost that much all in the same turn, then that just begs for combos where, like Iops, Enutrof, full boosted Iops, turn 2, kill everything, right? And that's not what we like in the game. Moving up, I'm just going to leave these 3 classes, Srams, Osamodas, and Sadidas, for last, because I think they're some of the most frustrating classes in the game. Not so much Osamodas, I think more Sadidas and Srams, and for different reasons also, but I'll get to that in a second. I'm going to try to go through this a little bit quicker. So if we're looking here, so Fecas. So we're looking at Fecas now. Fecas, AP reduction Fecas are, same issue as Xelors. Gravity, they just block you, and then AP reduction, you have no AP, you can't move, you can't jump or anything away. When you're faced with that, you're not really enjoying the game, yeah, suffice to say. Or like when you're getting range raped, AP, MP raped, or when they're putting up their shields and all that. But I think the purpose of the class is that, like, if you're against a Feca, then for example, you're going to want to play either a class that can debuff or like a class that can erosion, because erosion goes through shields regardless. And if you're versus Feca, you're definitely also going to want to put like AP, MP resistance, especially AP, I think. Just play well. I don't think Fecas are cheat in the way that Xelors are, because I think although they can do similar AP reduction, I think Xelors are more versatile, and like they can also place and that sort of thing, and move you around too much, or put you like outside of the game, like move you away from all the characters and then just rewind all the way back. In 1v1, Xelors can also do the same thing. But anyways, we're away from Xelors, now we're talking about Fecas, but we're just talking about the similarities there. Barricade, Bastion, all nice spells. I don't think they're too strong. Back in the day when there was like invulnerability or whatever, I don't remember what it was called, but there was like, instead of Barricade and Bastion, there was this spell that just makes you invulnerable. So I think that's a good modification on the spell. So Feca. Now we're looking at Sacriers. Sacriers is one of those classes I quite dislike, like genuinely with all my soul. Like I really dislike Sacriers. If I see a Sacrier in Colo, unless they're playing something interesting, like if they're playing damage mode with some cool maybe chance setup or that sort of thing, then maybe I'll tolerate it. But just like, let's say 99% of them are just playing agility, and it's all the same, and it's just frustrating to see so many players do the same thing, because the whole point of a game is to enjoy it, right? And how are you enjoying just by following this like manuscript of how to play? Okay, turn 1, you put your sword. Okay, you boost your suffering. You go to like positive. I don't know, positive, the green one. You go to positive suffering. Okay, increase your tanking capabilities. Wow, turn 2, co-op someone. Okay, pull someone against the wall to lock them. Desolation, or like whatever. They have too much tanking capabilities, and the turn 2 co-op is just too frequent. And I think the cooldown on transposition should be increased, definitely, because it's just every other turn, and that's way too much. I'm glad they made these the variants of each other, though, because if they had coagulation and transposition, that would be quite frustrating. I was kind of hoping coagulation would have some sort of way to deactivate it, so similar to like Ouginaks. You know how their shield, if you do pushback damage against them, it'll take off the shield. Maybe some sort of system similar to that for Sacriers. That could have been a good way to make coagulation a little bit more balanced, because now they just get 1,500 shield, and they can already tank enough, you know, between the all their spells that can do damage reduction. I mean, just look at this here. So say I'm versus Sacrier, okay, and he hits me with this, so now I do 30% less damage. Okay, he does, where are these spells? Oh, I haven't played Sacrier, so I don't know their icons, but I know their spells. So, okay, he does that. That's minus 30% damage that I do. He does, there's that other one, Bloodthirst or whatever. Bloodthirst, where is it at? Anyways, it does like the, it makes them tank 25% of all the damage that they take. All the damage that they take, it does like times 0.75, right? So they don't get hit as much. God, I can't find this fucking spell. Where it at, though? Berserk, projection, hostility. Maybe some Sacrier player can tell me I'm stupid and I don't know these icons, but oh, Bloodthirsty Madness. There we go. So right, okay, times 0.75. So now I have minus 30% damage output. They have minus 25% damage intake. They already have their plus 5 suffering, which does, I think, minus 20% damage intake. And they have hella heals with Desolation, and they have shields like Coagulation, and they just have way too much tanking capabilities. And plus, with their like increased HP with the increased suffering, even erosion is not even an option, because they go up to like 6.5k HP, and you're like, oh, I'm going to erode all that while they can reduce all this damage. Yeah, that's not going to happen. And they just keep co-oping, and I think it's too much of a script. I don't like classes that are like that. I don't like classes where it's way too obvious what you're supposed to do to play efficiently. In the sense that, for example, Sacriers, as I said, you just boost your suffering, co-op, lock someone, and just keep healing, keep locking, then sacrifice your allies, that sort of thing. I think it's kind of useless. In 1v1 as well, same complaints as team Colo. It's just a script, right? You just boost your suffering, you come to the adversary, just spam desolation, put your sword, desolation, and if they, on the off chance, manage to damage you, then you hit them with like a 1.5k damage punishment, right? If they get you to half-life. So, Sacriers, no thanks for Sacriers. Just gonna check real quick, make sure I'm recording and I'm not talking to the air. No, we're still good, thank God. We're running on 30 minutes now, though. Getting kind of carried away with these thoughts on the classes, but I hope you guys are enjoying. Anyways, so Cras. I think Cras are fairly balanced. I like their spell that they have. What is it? What's that? Reprisal, not shot. Reprisal. Minus 100 MP, gravity state, only in a straight line. I quite like this spell. I think it's a good variant for the dispersing arrow. I don't think it's too cheap, because it's not in the same way that like pull out does minus MP for everyone. I think in 1v1 it's obviously frustrating when you get hit with this, but it's part of their class, right? And their damage output, I think, is a little crazy, especially since all of them play full strength. I think that's another thing I don't like about classes. I don't like when one of the setups is clearly superior to all the others and just forces all the players to go that way. If you're playing 1v1 Colo like I do, if I'm against a Cras, 9 out of 10 he's gonna play full strength, and just the occasional like full chance AP reduction Cras I'll get, but pretty much all of them play full strength. So maybe like increase the ability of, you know, maybe the agility aspect of Cras, maybe a little bit of intelligence, make Omni Cras come back again. I think that could be interesting. In terms of things I don't like about Cras, I think the tactical beacons and double striking arrow, that's just lame. Like the AP reduction, whatever they do. I don't know what fucking arrows they use. They got way too many arrows, dude. Yeah, but they just put in the beacon turn 1, do minus like 3 AP and hella zone damage, and I think I don't like repetitive classes. I think maybe take off the double damage on striking arrow to avoid like that sort of spam, or maybe make it so it doesn't work on allies. I don't know, figure out something. It's cool that Cras can heal now with curative arrow. That's nice. It's a shame we don't see tyrannical arrow that much. I know that like the secondary poisons have been like nerfed. You can only do them 3 times a turn, I think, maximum. So that's I mean, that's part of the game, but I kind of agree with it. They have a bunch of interesting spells. I don't think they're cheated. They don't have much capabilities for self heal. I don't think they have any at all, except for like health steal a little bit, like absorptive and Bat's Eye. But they can keep you quite far away, which I guess compensates. So, and they can also do AP reduction, I guess. So that counts as well. Iops. Pretty much the only thing right now that kind of sucks with Iops is the tumult, whatever. Iops, right? You know, standard turn 3, jump in, put in your summon, do gathering, and sentence tumult, right? And then they do probably like 2 point. They do maybe I think like up to 3k damage to maybe 2 of your characters on your team. And I think in team PvP that's just it's just one of those like scripts that they follow. I don't think it's fun. I don't think it's fun to play. I don't see how you're enjoying yourself. You're just jumping every turn. I guess it's kind of cool, like if you're playing it and you're like, fuck, I just wrecked their team. Oh my god, I just did minus like 7k damage total to their team's health. I guess like it's a little bit of a thrill. But to everyone else, you're like, fucking an Intel Iop. I'll bet even your teammates are like, an Intel Iop, oh, I wonder what he's going to do, you know? So maybe be more creative. I'd like to see more maybe agility Iops. I know Zenith is a really cool spell. I know it's kind of hard to place in 1v1. No, I mean in team PvP, since it's sort of like Pulsar, I think, in functionality, where the less MP you use, the more damage it does. But look at that insane damage. Like, why are there not more agility Iops? I'd like to see more of them instead of just this spam of Tumult. Maybe bring back Iops Wrath. I know with Ivory that's kind of difficult because, like, let's say even if you do 12 AP, right, jump Iops Wrath, unless you disactivate the Ivory first, then your whole Wrath is just cut in half, right, the damage, and that's kind of a shame. Maybe a nice way to get around that would be if you add a small, like a barely significant damage to jump. Like let's say when you jump next to an adversary, it does the minus resistances, like the minus 15%. But also it does like, I don't know, like 2 neutral damage, just to disable that Ivory, and then that could be bring back Iops Wrath. I think that could be really interesting. That's it for Iops. Eniripsas in 1v1, like the poor guys, man, they just can't move around. They have good healing, so if they're versus a class that can't really erode, they're slightly advantaged, but they can't move themselves. So like if you just block line of sight, they can't really do shit. You just keep them far. Like for me as a rogue, unless it's a closed like map like the Colo maps, in 1v1, if it's an open big map like the PvP map, you know, they're the simplest class for me to beat because I can just push them far away, boost my bombs. They have no choice but to come back to me, and then I just erode, put my bomb, you know. If they're going to tank, or I'll just one-shot them because they can't really do that much to like kill my bombs if I just put them behind that wall, you know, that's there. I think in team PvP, they kind of fall under the role of healer and booster, which I don't think is fun to play. But I know, if you're playing Eniripsas, you know what you're getting into, so I think that's fair. You're there to be a support character, right? You're a healer, a buffer, and a debuffer, right? Those are the roles. So if you're playing Eniripsas, you should know what you're doing. You can do damage as well, but it's not one of his fortes. I don't think it's cheat. I think maybe give it more displacement capabilities. I don't think lifting word is enough, especially since it removes like stimulated state or like kills your Coney and all that. Rallying word. Why do these two have to be variants of each other? Like put rallying word instead of some other shit that no one uses. Like what is this? Overwhelming? I've never seen this in my life. Overwhelming word. Like switch these two. That way they can do both lifting and rallying word. Like why do they have to be mutually exclusive? Right? We don't need that. Give them some more displacement capabilities, like self displacement. That's all I have to say really for Eniripsas. Just give them more movement. That's it. Where are we? We're at Ecaflips. Nearing the end. Ecaflips, and then we're coming back down to these. So Ecaflips, first thing I think of, chance Ecaflips, chance crit damage. That's it's very funny, I love playing versus a class that turn two for 3 AP does 900 damage, and it can do that like fucking 5 times a turn, and then all or nothing minus. I don't know, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like 2k damage. They can very easily one-shot a character with not that much AP. And they can boost themselves really well and move themselves really well. I think they shouldn't be able to boost and move and do that much damage all really well. Like take away a few of those aspects. Either they can't boost themselves that much, with like the clover, everything they do is crits. So just put it opens up to just get yourself a set with hella crit damage, and you're gonna crit every time. So that's kind of it's kind of a workaround the whole idea of like sets being supposedly balanced, because you're supposed to balance like your crits and your crit damage, for example. I don't think that's fun. They can heal, damage, If I were to be an Ankama developer, I think just lessen their damage. Lessen their damage. I think in Team PvP it's kind of obvious that all of them are going to play chance, because why wouldn't they, with such huge zones, like for all of nothing and all or nothing, and such huge damage. What else would I change on Ecaflip? I don't think their tanking capabilities are insane. Like they have nice heals with Fill-In-Shin, Misadventure, or Playful Claw, whatever they choose to play. But it's nothing crazy. I'm glad they nerfed the pushback damage Ecaflips, because pushback damage sets have way too much resistance, and if you're doing way too much resistance as well as way too much damage, I think that's, again, one of the workarounds against the whole idea that sets are supposed to be balanced and you can't have everything at once. Their ability to boost themselves and allies and AP MP, I think that's interesting, just part of the class. They took away the aspect of like luck a long time ago from Ecaflips. Back in the day with like half your spells would work sometimes, or like they would do weird effects. They took that away, but I'm glad they did, because I don't think the game should be dependent on luck. So I like the way that Ankama is going in that aspect, because I don't think it's fair. Like if you're playing a class and half the time your spells don't work, or like they do stupid effects. Like I remember Roulette used to give your whole team minus 50% of health. Like imagine you do Roulette nowadays and your team just loses because you did Roulette. Like why would anyone play that spell and take that risk, right? So that's it for Ecaflip. Maybe just lower the damage a little bit, I guess. So here, where were we? Osamodas. So let's talk Osamodas. Okay, so Osamodas, I think currently the way they're played in teams, I think all modes are kind of viable, which I quite like. Some two of them are a little bit more prominent, or you see them more. The full agility and full intelligence. So full agility, I hate, because it's stupid. It's just, from very far range, you're just put your tofu plucking, right? And run up your tofus and hit them. I don't think there's much skill to that. Like you might as well be playing Cras and you just hit your adversaries like constantly. There's not much talent to that. And intelligence is just dragon heart or dragon breath. I think that might be it. And put your dragons and you can full heal your allies. Although even with that said, though, I really don't think Osamodas are that cheap. I know that might spark outrage with some people, but I think the way their spells are set up, and like the things that are variants of each other allow them to be fairly balanced, because they can't do all the things that, you know, if they were the way they were before, where there were the old variant setups, yes, you could consider them as like cheated classes. But Uncommon noticed that, and they like switched them up. So now the variants, for example, you can't heal yourself and Spiritual Release. So now if you're playing Spiritual Release, you can't heal yourself, for example. That's one of the interesting things. If you're playing the Red Dragon, you can't AP boost your allies. You know, there's all these different limiting variant setups, I guess I'm going to call them. I'm glad they also nerfed Crop. You know, Osamodas have taken a lot of heat, and they got hit pretty hard with a bunch of nerfs, so I really don't think they're that cheat in team PvP. Although in 1v1 they're very frustrating to play against, because either they play full strength and then this fucking Gobbly does minus God knows how much AP a turn, and you get hit with like all this lock, and they do pretty good damage, and for me, like as a rogue, they just kill my bombs and then come and lock me, and now I can't do much. And protective bomb, like I can't even kill the summons. It's quite difficult in solo PvP. I think the solo PvP, like 1v1, they're quite cheap, but in team PvP they're quite balanced. And I know that Ankama is like more focused on team PvP, so I don't think we're going to see some sort of strong nerf towards Osamodas in the near future. Oh, where were we? Over here. So Sadidas. So Sadidas are kind of like a do-it-all class. And do-it-all, I mean, by do-it-all, I mean do all the things that bother the hell out of every single player in the game. If you're playing versus Sadida, and you're getting all your AP removed, you're getting locked, and you're getting all your MP removed, and they're hitting you with all these poisons, and they're blocking your lines of sight with trees, and they're healing all their allies, and boosting themselves with MP, and boosting insane damage dolls, and all this placement, and debuffing all your boosts, and there's just way too much for them to do. And fucking Harmony, are you kidding me? Harmony, like, the way they split their damage, I swear to God, if a Sadida has like 200 HP, and Harmony, they do Harmony like with enough summons, they're gonna live for another like 3 turns, or however long Harmony lasts. I think it's 2 turns. So 2 turns. And I think that's just ridiculous. No class should be able to survive 2 turns with 200 HP in like a team setting. That's just, it's stupid. They have too much, and they're like their infected state, I think, is just like a big part of the issue, especially with their new vegetal influence, whatever it is. I think this one summon, pretty much they can do a lot of infected state in zones now, like with their this is one of those classes I don't play, so I don't know the icons that much. Inoculation, like they get the people around someone who's already infected to be infected, and then they have this guy who can infect them in the zone, and with the Mad Doll and between paralyzing poison, they can very quickly, like by turn 2, infect all your allies, and then hit you with like minus God knows how many MP between this spell. Where the hell is it? Between Paralyzing Bramble, and they have Soothing Bramble. Like your whole team's going to be no MP, and they can do pretty serious damage too, especially with like a full strength guy. Can also hit you really hard with like Force of Nature, or if they play like Voodoo Curse and MP reduction, then they can do a lot of damage. They just can do too much, I think, in terms of like survivability, because they can take away your AP, they can take away your MP, they can push you far away, they can give themselves MP, they can heal themselves, they can debuff poisons from themselves, they can debuff your boosts, and they can like block all sorts of line of sights. They can lock you with all sorts of summons, and put different summons in your way that like will scare the hell out of you, because they can do like 2k damage almost. They can survive way too long with Harmony. Put summons that MP reduction, and if you get too close, you're gonna get hit with a Force of Nature minus 1.5k damage. Like nobody wants that, right? They hit too hard. So I think they can do too much. Sadidas are a way too scary class. This goes for both 1v1 and team PvP. Also, they're fucking ugly. That's just like side note. Although, damn, big old biddies right there. That's it for Sadidas. And now to this class. which I love very much. We're going to talk about Srams. So Srams, okay. In team PvP, I understand they're not that cheap. Perhaps like the full strength one-shot turn 3 mode is a little overused because it's simple to use. Like turn 3, right? You just get all your spells like full boosted and minimal AP by using traps and like your double, for example, which can hit minus 1k when it dies. That's crazy. But in terms of like helping your team survive, unless you're using Mist, but that's like kind of a limited zone too, there's not much you can do to help your team survive. You can kind of lock adversaries, I suppose, maybe MP reduction somehow, but it's kind of difficult to help your teammates survive. Like let's say your teammate's in trouble. Okay, pretty much most classes have something they can do to help them. Like what are you going to do as a Sram? You can't heal, you can't do anything. But that's talking about team PvP. My issue with Srams is 1v1 because I don't know what these developers were thinking when they came up with this class. And every time they do a nerf, I'm like, oh, they're definitely going to change the way this class works, because I think it's just stupid. Okay, so it's invisibility. I'm getting a little bit worked up, but this spell, okay, invisibility. What does it last? 3 turns, okay. But pretty much like the invisible turn 1, they're back on turn 4, right? So then, like if they have the initiative, okay, and if they have the initiative, then they're going to stay far away from you, and then you don't know where they're going to pop up by turn 4. So if they place themselves well, that's like 4 turns. Pretty much for 2 AP, they just made themselves invulnerable for 4 turns because you can't see them. You can't see them. What the fuck are you fighting, right? Like as a rogue, my one of the things that like I'm supposed to be good at is damage dealing. Like that's one of my class's roles, I suppose. What am I damage? I can't damage deal anything. I can't see anything, and that's not even the worst part. Like that, I can't hit them, okay, but they can hit me. Not only with these poisons, which this fucking toxin is a 3 AP. It's infinite. It's infinite. It's 3 AP. They cast it at the start of the fight. They just have to make sure I hit 1 trap every turn. That's not that difficult, right? When you have these fucking traps that have God knows what range. 7, okay, so that's plus 6. If you have 6, you have 13 range on this fucking trap. Okay, how much is this one? I'm pretty sure this one's more. Yeah, okay, this one you have 14. You have 14 range on this trap. It's not difficult to get me to hit 1 trap a turn. If you're playing agility and you put toxin, it's the whole fight. And every time I slip in a trap, the damage goes up. It goes up to like minus 900 at the end of my turn. And you think I can out heal 900? I can't debuff myself. So what am I supposed to? And it's not just the poisons too, because these traps. Okay, these traps are also invisible. So if I'm playing rogue, okay, and I'm like, okay, shit, you know, I'm looking at the map, right? Okay, so he's on this cell over here, and I'm this far away, and now this is how my mind works as a rogue, right? Versus any class, I'm like, okay, shit. So if he's over there and I'm over here, my bomb's over here. So what's the easiest way for me to get him in my bomb, right? I'm gonna move this bomb here, blah blah blah. Dirty trick, boombot here. Okay, so I do all that, then I boombot my boombot, okay. There's like a 90% chance he's going to die because as soon as he moves, he's going to hit some fucking trap because I don't know where they are. And he has 9 HP and I can't protect him in any way, so he's going to die as soon as he hits a trap. My bomb's probably not going to reach where I want it to go because when my boombot pushes it, it's probably going to hit another trap. My whole turn has been ruined. I just used up all my like powerful spells, right? I used Dirty Trick, I used Boombot. Now I don't have those again for 3 turns. And guess what happens in 3 turns? They go invisible again. And now they're invulnerable for another 4 fucking turns. And not to talk about their double, which keeps locking me, and I have to spend like 3 AP, up to 3 AP a turn unlocking that shit. And then he comes and like explodes and hits another 1k damage. And on top of all this, okay, I wish they can do just all this. But no, because Ankama had to, you know, help them, you know, they're a struggling class. Give them fucking Calamity. And now they're full HP the whole fight. Like, I'm hitting them, okay, they come visible. If by some miracle chance I managed to get them in the bombs once, okay? Between the resistances and like Ivory and how much AP I had to use, there's no way, between how much AP I had to use to even reach them, there's no way I'm unlocking Ivory, right? So between that and the resistances, I probably only hit them like 700, 800 damage on that turn maximum. Okay, and then we already know they're going to go invisible next turn by the time I even reach them. So I hit them, invisible, Dokoko heals them back, and then Calamity, that's all, and then now they're back to full health, and then the cycle repeats. Meanwhile, I'm taking fucking 900 damage toxins at the end of my turn every turn, and I can't do shit about it. I get close, they'll fear me to God knows where. They have so much damage, like, and they can hit in all elements pretty hard too, so it's not like you can really... I can't cover I can't do everything in my set. I can't have all the resistances. There's no way I can cover all of my bases. Like let's say I'm versus Sram. Okay, I'm versus Sram and Cola. The little person like a Sram figurine, whatever, pops up, and I don't know who the Sram is. Let's say I don't know their element, right? So now I'm trying to figure out an anti-Sram setup. Okay, I don't want to get fucking KO'd, so I'm going to try and put as much strength resistance as I can so I don't get killed turn 3, right? So I'll put 50% strength. Now they turn out to be chance agility. Okay, I'm probably going to want some chance agility. So I'll put some chance resistance because I don't want them to steal too much HP off of me. But now they put agility, and agility, I can't even put resistances because poison hits through resistances. I don't understand that system that well. Like, I'm pretty sure even if you have resistances, like poison will still hit you. Like, I think the biggest problem in all this is just the way invisibility works when it comes down to it, and the way the traps are invisible. Like, that's my issue with it, because it just doesn't work. How are you fighting a class where you can't see them or anything that they do? Okay, let's say they're invisible for 4 turns or whatever, and then it's another 2 turns till it's back. Like, they can even play class cape and bring down that cooldown period or whatever. Now I'm fighting a guy who I can't see for about 70% of the fight. And I can't see any of the shit he does either, because damage is coming out of nowhere, because it's all poison and it's all traps which I can't see. So I'm fighting air, like, that's all I'm doing. So that's why fuck this class. I think Ankama should either take them out completely or like take off like invisibility. Just take off invisibility, that's all. Like, just take it off. Give them another spell. Give them maybe like a leak pie that they can only cast to damage on themselves, like that sort of thing. You know, maybe like a spell that makes them leave the fight accidentally. Hopefully they can click that. I don't know. Just give them something. Take off invisibility. Okay? Maybe calm this fucking infinite toxins bullshit. Okay? Make it so that it lasts like 2 turns and then they have to recast it. Or, you know, maybe just supply every class... every Sram with like a mandatory class change potion, and I'll be satisfied. That was it for me. I believe I covered all the classes. I hope you guys stuck to the end. I know it was my longest video yet, actually, probably around 40-45 minutes. I hope I didn't rant too hard on any one of the classes, especially if they're like one of your favorites. Let me know what you think, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Fuck Srams. Peace.